It's time to stop comparing yourself to others and start owning who you are in your unique place in life. There are 3 actions and habits that will help you break out of that comparison trap every single time. The first is identify where you have the most impact. The second is know who your people are. And the third is learn how to be thankful even when it's hard. I'm so glad you're tuning in because we're talking about how to break free from the comparison trap so that it doesn't block us from our work, our calling, and our joy. It's not just for surface level things like looks or money either. It can be comparing someone's personality, their giftings, spiritual maturity, or even their work ethic. Before we jump into our conversation today, I actually want to hear from you about this. In the comments, I want you to drop what you think your biggest comparison struggle is, or maybe just the one that you struggle with the most often. It can be one word or however much you want to share. But let's see what the most common ones are because I have a feeling there are other people that have the same ones that you do. Now, let's start breaking these chains. The reason this is on my mind right now is because the last time I went to my business networking group, I actually met a friend over there. Her name is Kim. She is a multi-business entrepreneur, homesteader, wife, mom, missionary, you name it. She also has a website and YouTube channel that I'll link down below if you want to check it out. I highly recommend it. It's called Plain Living. So the other morning I started watching it. The first video I pulled up, it was Kim and her daughters, and they were walking through a sewing project that they were working through together. And the girls were so well-spoken on camera, and everyone seemed so close and happy just doing these simple little tasks together. And it was adorable, and it just made me so happy. I started praying for blessings over them. But then all of a sudden, I started crying just a little bit, and it was very odd. Now, Kim, if you're watching, don't feel bad. It's a good thing I just got triggered, okay? So it was like all of a sudden, I was just hit with comparison and how different Kim's life was than mine. Now, pause here for a second because I am fully aware that we don't see everyone's good and bad that they go through. I know that everyone's highlight reels are not reality 100% of the time, okay? This was just a knee-jerk emotional response. It was beautiful. Their lives just seemed so wholesome and simple. Hardworking, don't get me wrong, because homesteading is 24/7 hard work. But it was still the simple back to the roots kind of living. But it was actually the kids that triggered me. They were happy, they were participating, they were enjoying what was going on, they weren't tied to a device. And I love my kids dearly, don't get me wrong, they are amazing. But things haven't always been easy for us just in life itself. We have a great relationship with our kids, with both of them, so I'm very thankful about that. But we've had situational and life struggles just like everyone else. So I was able to stop the trigger pretty quickly. It wasn't a big deal. There was never any bitterness or anything against Kim or her family. It was pure beauty, and it was just a mini pity party for me. I shifted and just started getting my head back in the game and talking to God about how thankful I was for my family. And then I went about my day. I just went on. But later that day, I was walking through Hobby Lobby by myself, which is my happy place, and was just talking to God kind of in my heart and trying to analyze what was going on earlier. I was still thankful, but still just a little bit sad too. And I was trying to figure it out, and I knew I wasn't called to homesteading, so that wasn't it. That is an amazing gift on their part. I am not gifted in that area. But it was the closeness and the simple focus that goes along with that. That's what I was comparing. And I'm sure I felt the Holy Spirit put his arm around me and say, those aren't your people. First I was thinking, well, yeah, no kidding. There is no way on earth my daughter is sewing a dress. But let me explain. God wasn't pointing out the obvious to me. He was pointing out other things. Like my family isn't supposed to look like hers because we were called to have an impact on our specific spheres of influence. If either of us were different, we wouldn't be able to do our job and reach the people or serve in the areas that we're supposed to. That is her mission field. This is mine. Her family in that kind of environment and others who are in similar ones, that is her area. Now, I still benefit from the life lessons that I can get from her and her business expertise, but I'm not her main target, and I'm sure she knows that. She knows who her people are and where her influence typically reaches. Not that I can't connect with or be good friends with or even mutually benefit from people who are different than I am or in different stages of life. I absolutely can. It's about the focus. We each have our own mission field, and she is rocking hers out, and I have mine. And you have yours, your specific area that God has called you to. God knew exactly who I needed to be a mother to and what they would go through. God knew who I needed to be close friends with and who I needed to reach even through this podcast. Here's the thing. Comparison doesn't have to look like bitterness. It doesn't have to be that green-eyed monster that people think of when they think of jealousy or comparison. It can just be a little bit of sadness when you think about what you may have missed or things that you've gone through or where you are in life. Now, let me pause for just a second here because I really want you to lean in and listen to this. You are the one who was chosen to parent your children. You are enough for your spouse. You are exactly where you're supposed to be to make a difference. And if you're called for more, that's great, and you can grow into that. But don't discount where you are right now, because God knew what was needed in this situation, where you are, the people that you're around, and He gave you this position in life for a reason. Don't discount it. Which brings me to step 1 in breaking the comparison cycle. Know where you have the most impact. It's like identifying your property lines, right? You have the natural boundaries of your mission field. It's not a limiting boundary, like you can't go past that. All it is an identification so that you know your main mission field. And for one, it always starts at home. Your family, whatever that looks like for you, whatever your home base is, that's your very first place to mark those property lines. Your household or the tightest circle of relationships that you make up that field. I recommend being visual, so here's your first action step. Draw or write out the places where your sphere of influence typically starts and stops. That doesn't mean you never go past that. Again, it's just where you mostly interact with people. Then extend that to church, work, your community, things like that. That's your field too, it's just a little bit broader. And here's where it gets hard not to compare. When your property is not the one that you would pick. I want that mission field, not this one. This one is too hard. It's not pretty. It's dramatic. I get it. Maybe your family is just you and your parents or siblings. Maybe you're single, but you have roommates. Maybe your family is messy and there's drama all around. It doesn't matter. Home is where you start and then you extend to your other areas. You were designed and called to your specific field and sphere of influence because God knew that you had a gift or an ability that would be needed in that place or in those places. It could be multiple places. And even though we can touch the lives of other people in other spheres of influence or people who are just really not in our tribe, we still need to identify our primary boundary lines just so we can recognize where the brunt of our focus should be. Here's what knowing your sphere of influence does and what it looks like. Say I'm watching my coworker or someone at church really killing it with certain projects or around certain groups of people that I'm just not gifted in or I can't really relate to those people. And maybe I get a little sad because I feel less than or incompetent as a parent or an employee. I can watch Kim, an amazing Christian wife, mom, business owner, and be a little down on myself that I just can't seem to get my life together to be able to look like that. Then I remember I'm not called to operate in that field. She is, and she is doing an awesome job, and I pray blessings over her and her family and her work, and I celebrate her, and that's what we're supposed to do. You are not called to someone else's field. What you can do is learn from them, glean whatever you can from them, and then pray over them, pray blessings, celebrate them, lift each other up, but identify where your field is. You will appreciate it a lot more. My field? I work primarily from home, so my interactions stay pretty much around church, my local Walmart, and any online interactions that I have. Those boundaries are my typical boundaries of work and service, and I was called to them for a reason. By recognizing that you have been selected for work in your field in your region with your specific people, you can appreciate that your life isn't supposed to look like someone else's life. If it did, you couldn't reach the people that are in your field. You wouldn't be relatable to them. Know your property lines. Which brings us to step 2 in breaking the whole comparison trap cycle. Okay? Know who your people are. Know your sphere of influence. It's kind of the same thing, but this is more specific. Knowing the people, the type of people, the individual people. Know who your people are. Now, please listen very carefully. I am not talking about forming a clique or hopping into a particular tribe that shuns everyone else and takes on some sort of superiority complex. That was middle school and high school. Hopefully, we have outgrown that. We are all supposed to love and be open to serving and connecting with everyone. What I am saying is the same as what we were talking about with the property lines in regards to where you're the most impactful. Know the main people that you are the most connected to and who you are able to serve the most so you can focus your energy and stop getting distracted with other people who aren't your people, but maybe you just really wish they were. Again, it's about focus, not exclusion. Know who you thrive around and the people who typically need you the most. Those are your people who you are called to love and serve the most often. An extension of that, but just as crucial, is know who you are. Know yourself. That way you'll be able to recognize who you're called to, and you won't be so hung up on yourself that you'll be dwelling on what you think you're lacking. So this can be the start of that line of thinking, and I'll use myself as an example. I am not everyone's cup of tea socially. I know that. I'm very open, and I'll tell you the truth if you ask for it. With a filter, like we talked about in our last episode, I think it was. But I'll still tell you. And sometimes I share too much about myself, and that can get me into trouble because not everyone is safe. There's some toxic people out there. People either really love me or they just don't know what to do with me because I am not typical in a lot of ways, especially compared to a lot of other women that I know. And there's nothing wrong with either. I'm just different, and I know that about myself. Even if I wanted to, I am not going to be able to sit and talk clothes or curtains for an hour. I can't daydream about paint colors and recipes. I'll zone out so fast. I'd much rather sit down and talk psychology or neuroscience with you, or get out our planners and map out the next 3 months. Color-coded pens are a must. I want to share dreams and goals. I want to sit in a kayak on a river by myself, read poetry, and hike through the woods. I also can't focus on only one thing in life. I'm a multi-passionate person. So if I need to focus, let's say on work, then I need to know other things are waiting for me that I can go back and forth between at their designated times. I'm an entrepreneur, a writer, an editor. I work wedding events. I moonlight as princesses for parties. And see, I overshare a lot. I probably told you a lot more about me than you even care to know. But the point is, I know myself, and I'm always learning more about myself. And I don't have to be sad because I'm fully confident in who I am. And that's what you have to learn for you. Whether you're average or you consider yourself average or above or just plain weird, sometimes that's okay. We're not clones. So who are you, really? Do you know? Write down a list like I did of things you like and dislike and get to know the real you outside of the work you do or the people that you serve. Get to know yourself a little bit and the comparisons with others will get weaker. Once you know yourself more, you'll be able to recognize your people more and you'll know your primary spheres of influence and not feel so bad about the people who aren't your people. Again, using me as an example about the spheres of influence, I have 3 main ones, and this is just me. The first one is my family, and it's pretty atypical. So I married my Romanian husband a few years ago. I have 1 adult son and 1 almost teenage daughter. Both are amazing, but definitely not your copy and paste kids. We've gone through a lot as a family, including deaths, divorce, and a lot of pointless drama, just to name a few things. The second sphere are women that are usually in their mid-30s to 50s. Usually they are trying very hard to be real. They are not, again, your typical copy and paste women usually, or maybe they kind of struggle fitting in a little bit. A lot of them are small business owners or stay-at-home moms with side gigs. These women are usually very gifted, tender-hearted, and hardworking, often behind the scenes, but who are also tougher than they give themselves credit for, and sometimes pretty war-torn from life. My third sphere are usually girls about middle school to early high school age, also very similar to the women personality-wise. Maybe they feel like they're the oddballs, or they're just not quite your typical teen girls. I just always seem to gravitate toward these groups. Do I have friends and do I serve people who are outside of these brackets? Absolutely. But this is just the average. I know pretty well my spheres of influence. So who are your people? When you can identify who the people really are that God put in your life, comparisons don't really hold water anymore, because you were called to be the parent of your children. You were called to reach and connect with the people you have through the years. If you and your people were any different, then you would not be effective in your mission field. So again, the same practical action step as knowing your property lines applies for this too, for knowing your people. Draw or write out the names of each person, or at least the main people that are in your spheres of influence, so that you'll know where your boundary lines are. And again, these are do not cross boundary lines. They're like the property lines. They simply map out where your main field is. These are the main people that you have influence over or who you connect with, so that you can better focus on who is closest to you and not get distracted by others who are not your people, and you're not comparing apples to oranges anymore in regards to your life. To tie it up, the third and final step, and I'm going to say is the most important step, is this: learning how to be thankful even when it's hard. Now, don't tune out. This is not some wishy-washy state of mind where you walk around with rose-colored glasses, okay? This is not a state of denial. We get that there's good and bad in life, right? It's a perspective that's formed by mental habits. And if you form them, you will start to become more confident. You'll have more appreciation for who you are, where you are, and who you're around. And by default, comparisons will slowly start to fade. It's not denying reality if things aren't all peachy. It's simply identifying and focusing on the good, just like a microscope, on the good that is there, so you can appreciate where you are now and own who you are and your spheres of influence. I live off quotes and mantras, and one that I developed for myself way back in high school was that I only compare myself with two people: Christ, so I stay humble and realize that I will always need him, and my best self, so that I never settle and I keep growing. Have I compared to other people? Of course. I literally just told you a story where I did the other day. But my focus is to live by that mantra and only compare myself with those two people. And what this does is it helps me to zoom in and focus on two foundational things. The first is Christ and his grace to me, which I can't help but be thankful for. And the second is that I will always be a work in progress, but I can look back and see how far I've come, what all I've grown through, and I can be thankful that I am moving forward, even if it's baby steps. Listen, your thankfulness dictates your focus, and your focus dictates your direction. Let me say that one more time, because I really want you to get this. Your thankfulness dictates your focus, and your focus dictates your direction. You can't walk forward while looking backward. You can't appreciate who you are and where you are if you're looking back or around at others thinking that's supposed to be you. Comparison is the thief of joy, but it will also trip you up and keep you down faster than just about everything else. Do you know what Satan did in the garden to entice Eve? Besides the fact that you put any kind of yummy food in front of a woman and she'll probably cave, is he made her question what God really said, and he made her compare what she had to something she thought was better. Here's your easy action step for this third one, and it's an ongoing one, thus the mental habit forming part. And I guarantee it will start to strengthen your thankfulness muscles, and it will keep you from the comparison trap. Keep track of the things you're thankful for by writing them out and numbering every single one of them as you go. I started this years ago, and I don't always keep it up, but when I do, I'm always better off for it. And I got the idea from author Ann Voskamp with her first book, 1,000 Gifts, A Dare to Live Fully Right Where You Are. And I'll attach a link below if you'd like to get her book. I highly recommend it. She truly is an amazing writer, and the way she words things is just pure poetry. It really hits home, too, with a lot of the things that she's gone through. Through all the stories and struggles that she's had, she talks about numbering the things you're thankful for, and the goal is to try to reach 1,000. Of course, once you've hit it, you can keep going, but that's the initial goal. And it's not a one-sitting list for one that would take forever. It's ongoing on purpose. And you can keep it on your phone, you can keep a little journal, you can leave a list on the counter, whatever works for you. The trick is to number them, and I also like to date them because there have been seasons where I needed reminders that there were actually good things in that season too. Also, don't limit your thankfulness. A lot of us can think of things like, I'm thankful for my family or my friends or my home, but it can be anything. It could be the color of the sky one morning. It could be how good your coffee is. It could be the joke that your spouse or your kid told you. Don't overcomplicate it or even think that you have to write in complete sentences. You're just training your brain to look for the good things, to keep track of them, and to start changing your perspective to one that focuses on the good that there is, not the bad that is probably there too. We do live in reality. But it doesn't need to be focused on for you to move forward. The positive and the good does. It's a perspective shift that will automatically happen when you start keeping track of the silver linings. So listen, what was your main takeaway with all this? Maybe there's a trick you learned that I haven't mentioned. Please share it if so, because anything that can help people, right? Is there something that you thought of while we were talking that you need to identify or focus on, maybe that God reminded you of? Please leave a comment and share it with us because we're all in this together, and I'm willing to bet that someone else can relate to the one that popped in your head. Now, before you sign off, go head over to my friend Kim's channel. Go get Ann Voskamp's book. You will be blessed by both, I guarantee it. And just because YouTube has these wonderful algorithms that we have to operate by, please like this, subscribe, share it with someone who could be encouraged by it, someone that popped in your head while you were listening. And until next time, keep looking up, keep moving forward, and if I don't see you on here, I will see you in ink. Bye.